Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another music update. Got a bunch more CDs in, so let's get started. So the first band that I'm wanting to talk about, I only recently just discovered these guys actually, and it's a power metal band, which again is something that I'm relatively new to. Well, not necessarily new to, but new to actually finding a power metal band that I like. So the band that I'm talking about is an Australian power metal band called Lord, and this is their most recent album from this year, Fallen Idols, and this is what is playing in the background. So if you've never heard of these guys before, you like what you're hearing in the background, definitely check Lord out, especially if you like power metal with a little bit more of a serious lyrical style. And these guys are pretty fast and aggressive for a power metal band, so I definitely highly recommend them. As I said, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the majority of power metal bands out there, but I really like these guys. So yeah, that's Lord with their most recent album, Fallen Idols. I also picked up Digital Lies. Now I think in total these guys have released about half a dozen albums. I've only got 3 of their albums so far. So again, really good stuff. Really good album, this one. And the last Lord album that I picked up is Set in Stone. This one again is really good. So yeah, as I've already mentioned, these guys are slightly more serious lyrically for a power metal band, and they're pretty fast and aggressive as well with their instrumentals like the drumming and the guitar riffs. So awesome stuff, definitely check them out. What I'll do is I will leave a link in the description box to one of their albums, so if you're interested in checking them out you can do so here on YouTube. Just click the link in the description box. Alright, so now we'll move on to some good old thrash. Now the next band that I'm going to show, I've known about these guys for years. I'm not necessarily a fan of their entire discography. There's only a couple of albums from these guys that I actually really like, and those are the albums that I have finally added into the collection. And that is Onslaught. I'm sure everyone is well familiar with these guys. They've been around since the 80s. And they're pretty well known in the world of thrash. So this is their second album, I believe, The Force, and it's really awesome stuff. Really like this album a lot. So that's Onslaught, The Force. And surprisingly, the only other album that I really have gotten into from Onslaught is their most recent album from a few years ago, 6, which has really awesome artwork there on the cover, the back of it. Yeah, this is a really good modern thrash album. So that is Onslaught. This is another band that I've known about for quite a while, and I've been listening to pretty much all their albums online for the past year and a half. Living over here in Australia, it's often hard to pick up albums physically because a lot of albums aren't always necessarily available over here, whether it be online or in the few music stores that actually stock a lot of albums. So it is a little bit difficult, and I'm just super lazy with importing anything. So I finally came across the entire Warbringer discography on Amazon Australia recently, so I thought, you know what, I've been struggling finding these guys locally on CD. It's about time I just went ahead and picked up all of their studio albums, so that's exactly what I did. So Warbringer, I'm sure if you guys are familiar with thrash, you know these guys. These guys are awesome. Now, I know a couple of other people that are big fans of these guys, and they've all said that this is pretty much the modern equivalent to Slayer, and that's definitely the vibe that I'm getting from these guys. So Warbringer, absolutely kick-ass modern thrash band, quite possibly my favourite modern thrash band. and this is their debut album, War Without End. Absolutely killer debut. So that's Warbringer. Then I also picked up Waking into Nightmares, which is another absolutely phenomenal album. I kind of go between this one and their debut as to which is my favourite Warbringer album. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. Then we have Worlds Torn Ascending, or Asunder, sorry. Another absolutely phenomenal album right here. There's only really one album in the Warbringer discography that I'm not a big fan of, and that is actually the next one here, Empire's Collapse. They kind of went with a lighter sound on this one, and while it's not a bad album, it's certainly my least favourite from their discography. The artwork on the cover is great though. This is a digi pack, like a fold out. Pretty cool release, the CD, and then it also comes with a DVD as well. So not my favourite Warbringer album, my least favourite honestly, but still not a bad album. And then their most recent from last year, Well to the Vanquished, or Woe to the Vanquished. Really, really good stuff. My apologies, I'm terrible with album names. But yeah, this is another really, really good release from Warbringer. So if for some reason you've never heard of these guys before, or if you're one of those people that aren't necessarily big fans of modern thrash, I definitely do recommend checking them out, especially if you are a fan of Slayer. So, as I said, known about these guys for years, have been listening to their albums online for years, and I'm just glad to finally own the CDs finally in my collection. So moving on, a couple of more CDs. I guess you'd call these Grail items for me. They're not necessarily super rare, I don't think, but they are kind of uncommon, a little bit hard to find over here in Australia. So really stoked to finally add these both into the collection. Couple of more Testament albums, so I don't need to talk about these guys. You know how much I love Testament, and this is definitely an album that I've been wanting for a while. Return to Apocalyptic City. Pretty different artwork for Testament, but I'm a big fan of this artwork. Really, really awesome stuff, and even the back of it has some pretty awesome artwork, and so does the inside. Back of the booklet there and the disc. So glad to add this one into the collection. And I would definitely consider this one to be a Grail, because this is pretty rare, especially over here in Australia, and that is the best of Testament. So this is their first compilation album, and in my opinion the best, because the track listing on this compilation disc is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good track lineup here. Over the Wall, New Order, The Legacy, Disciples of the Watch, Trial by Fire, Alone in the Dark, Practice What You Preach, Burnt Offerings, just to name a few. Absolutely killer track listing on this one. So really, really happy to finally add this one to the collection. I've been wanting it for ages, and I finally came across it for a good price online. So yeah, that's the best of Testament. So there you go guys, that is it for another music update. Let me know what you think of these albums in the comments section below. And also, if you've been enjoying what you've heard in the background, or you're looking for a new power metal band to check out, something a little bit more on the fast, aggressive side of power metal, I definitely recommend checking Lord out. They're an Australian power metal band. And like I said, I'll leave a link in the description box to one of their albums, so you can check that out at your own leisure. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.